This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, Canada's #1 pro wrestling YouTube channel by far. With a daily wrestling news update, Raw only did a 0.42 rating this week, down from last week. And this week, a lot of the times the highlights are only 3 minutes. The highlights this week we're like 10 minutes long, which that's just far too much for me to try and watch. I did watch the little skirmish that Seth Rollins had with Cody Rhodes, and I have to say Seth Rollins just has the weakest punches ever. There was at least one of them that didn't even connect. Cody Rhodes has far better punches, but I don't understand. No wonder their ratings are down. Why would anyone want to see this feud? Cody Rhodes beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and pretty much every week since WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes has beat Seth Rollins on the house shows. So why would anyone care beyond the fact that Seth Rollins got beat up by a fan a few months ago, and a small fan for that matter? Whereas Dave Chappelle, the comedian, gets attacked by a fan and beats the crap out of the fan. Seth Rollins, a supposed tough guy wrestler, gets his ass kicked, and then they wonder why ratings are down when they continue to push this guy that has punches that look like they couldn't even hurt a baby. According to the Wrestling Observer, WWE is getting rid of the idea of the tournament for the women's belts that Sasha Banks had with Naomi, and might just be getting rid of the titles altogether. Sonny has pleaded not guilty to DUI causing death while driving with a suspended license, DUI causing injury to a person, and DUI causing property damage. The trial date has not been set yet. However, there is a pre-trial meeting set for June 30th at 9 a.m. Kayla Braxton, who is a wrestler in some organization, I'm not sure where, but apparently she put out a tweet celebrating Pride Month that got negative reaction and said, quote, "It's sad to see the amount of insecure, hateful, self-loathing people who feel the need to express their disdain for gay pride and the LGBTQ community," end quote. Well, people are going to hate on anything you post on the internet. I can tell you guys that as a professional YouTuber, I get hated on like so much. And it doesn't matter. For instance, I had posted this picture from the weekend with the beautiful Natalia, and I got hate for it. So it doesn't matter if you're gay or heterosexual or whatever. There's haters and trolls on the internet. They're going to hate on it. Apparently, the MJF is going to be on Dynamite this week. From what I understand, there was friction between him and Tony Khan because MJF feels he should be paid more considering his status in the company. He's not going to be a free agent until January 2024. Tony Khan is apparently willing to give him a pay increase if he signs a contract extension, but MJF does not want to sign a contract extension. He does a great job of kayfabing, but he just doesn't interest me as a wrestler. Nothing against him. I was a big Ultimate Warrior fan, Undertaker, Macho Man, larger than life characters. Ric Flair is even a larger than life character. Which, by the way, I have to say, I did say regarding CM Punk being AEW champion that it's not going to appeal to mainstream fans or to non-wrestling fans because CM Punk is looked at as a joke after his UFC performances. And it's hard to suspend your disbelief that he's an actual tough guy, and you're now presenting him as the toughest guy in your company because he's the champion of your company, where I don't believe he landed one strike in either of his UFC fights. And the second guy he fought was a jobber that was supposed to lose. But Punk couldn't even beat that guy. And someone commented, well, did you ever see Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair as believable? Well, Hulk Hogan, I don't know what his real height was. He was billed as 6'8", over 300 pounds. There's not that many people that would try Hulk Hogan out in a bar in his prime. Fairly intimidating guy who was trained in some submission holds. He did knock out that Belzer guy with the Gravit type submission hold on that talk show that he ended up getting sued over. And Ric Flair cheated to win in a lot of his fights. He was never presented as the toughest guy. He was the dirtiest player in the game that would cheat to get the victories. But both examples is there's no shoot fight videos of Hogan or Flair getting their butt kicked in shoot fights. Like, they just don't exist. So you can suspend your disbelief that they're tough. Even if it was like, you wouldn't, if they made an action movie with CM Punk where they presented CM Punk like Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme, it still wouldn't appeal to the mainstream because he's been exposed. Like, it's just the way it is. You can't suspend your disbelief because those videos are out there. We all know he can't fight. He can take a beating, but even in his outside of MMA fights, like Ted Hart beat him up in a street fight. So he's just not going to bring new fans, new eyes to the product, in my opinion. Is his name better than the other guy, who I don't even remember, Hangman Page or something? Yes, he has more name value than Hangman Page, yes. I will give them that. Finally, Doug Dillinger is going to be the head of security for Ric Flair's last match, former WCW head of security. And Wyndham Rotunda, the former Fiend, is saying he's ready now and it's almost time for an in-ring return. Now, the Fiend would make a better AEW champion than CM Punk because he hasn't been exposed. So anyways, that's just my opinion, and I'm allowed to have my opinion. I have zero interest in anything about wrestling but the news and interviewing old wrestlers, to be perfectly honest. I'm just not interested because it was boring to me. Dennis has been watching classic matches from the 80s and 90s on YouTube. I would rather do that as well. Tom says the Seth Rollins attacker should get a WWE contract. Hey, Zeus, what's up? Just finished a good chest workout and back. And I'm going to run later tonight. I'm going to have some dinner in between. Drinking some milk here. So cheers. I did break my no drinking training over the weekend, but I was with 3 beautiful ladies in a 5-star hotel, so I don't regret that. That was a hell of a lot of fun. Ivan Santos, my thoughts on Wardlow. I haven't seen too much of him, but he's one of the better AEW guys for sure. Tom, did Stammy Sitch lie about having a seizure? I guess we'll find out in court. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Yes, it means I just finished working a shift at my job because I work Wednesday afternoons. Who would call out Bruiser Brody in his prime? I'm sure people challenged him at bars and stuff, but he was you could suspend your disbelief with Bruiser Brody because there was no videos. Even if he had been beaten up, there's no public beatings of Bruiser Brody like there is of CM Punk. And I know that AEW fans love him and he has fans. I'm not saying he doesn't have fans, but to people like me and people that are sports fans, they just look at CM Punk as a joke. They're not going to be like, oh, CM Punk's the champion of this company. I got to go watch this company. It must be so awesome. Because as Charlotte says, CM Punk is boring for most of us. I mean, he does the leg slapping crap. All he does is whine in his promos. I don't know. Someone wants to see the Hell in the Cell after the Cody segment. Well, as I said, Cody's beat Seth Rollins on each and every house show. If I'm wrong, please write it in the comments and beat him at WrestleMania. Why would I want to see him beat Seth Rollins yet again? And by the way, he's wrestling Seth Rollins through the summer. So maybe they will actually let Seth Rollins have a victory at Hell in the Cell. But something tells me they're not going to have Cody lose until he wrestles for the title. Tom, yeah, Adrian Street was a tough guy, supposedly. Kevin, I don't see WWE is going to release Sasha and Naomi. They're probably going to freeze their contracts, make them punish them for being divas. Kevin, yeah, Eric Bischoff said that CM Punk was a huge waste of money. Tony Khan denied it, but I don't see AEW being out of the red yet. They haven't profited yet. So when they turn a profit, that'll be a different story. But in the meantime, I will continue working on vampire wrestler movies like I'm doing now and other projects that interest me more than wrestling. And by the way, Audie, on Facebook, which we are on the Hannibal TV on Facebook, my video wrestling Natalia in bed, actually, in this very bed, got 8.5 thousand views on Facebook, which is way more than your average independent wrestling match is going to get. So, you know what? I think I'm going to continue making footage like that because it's a lot more fun. But I will keep doing wrestling. Obviously, I post at least 3 or 4 wrestling videos a day. Feebird thinks that AEW would even have even less viewers if not for Punk. I don't know. What are my thoughts on deathmatch wrestling? My thoughts on it is it sucks. I'm against deathmatch wrestling. It's garbage. The wrestlers don't get paid enough. They're getting injured for real. And it's just disgusting. I have nothing good to say about deathmatch wrestling. It's self-mutilation. Where do you get these caps? They're all sold out. We were selling them at Great North Wrestling events. We do have a merchandise store for the Hannibal TV. The link is in the description. But I don't sell the hats anymore. But there is t-shirts. Ivan, at what point did pro wrestling get so boring? I think it all started when WWE went corporate, when they went on the stock market around 99, 2000. That's when wrestling stopped being like an escape and started being very corporate and just boring. Barbara, I don't know when I'm going to wrestle next, to be honest with you. I'm working on I got an acting job, by the way, for a big TV show in Toronto next week. So I will be back in Toronto next week. I'm extremely excited about that. And by the way, that's going to pay me a hell of a lot more than I've ever made for wrestling. So congratulations to me. on getting an amazing acting job that is a small role, but it's in a known television series, so I'm excited about it. So on that note, wish everyone a good night. I'm going to cook myself some filet mignon. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy Dynamite for whoever's watching it. But my fans, for the most part, don't watch today's product. But if you are watching it, enjoy. Otherwise, subscribe. I'm almost at 323,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, help me reach 323,000. I'd greatly appreciate it. And Piper would greatly appreciate it as well. She's not here tonight, though. Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at the Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Hannibal TV.